a story of inspiration, perseverance, and surviving against all odds. Today, we have a chat with Abi-Gaye Smythe, who was diagnosed with arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia, or ARVD, a rare and progressive disease that causes the right side of her heart to not work as it should. Welcome to Morning Coffee Guest. I'm your host, Simone Absalom Gale. After the break, we hear her story. Stay with us. Welcome back to Morning Coffee Guest. I'm your host, Simone Absalom Gale, and I'm with the beautiful Abi-Gaye Smythe. She's sharing her very interesting story. First of all, who is Abi-Gaye?
Okay, Abigail is almost 30 years old. It feels so weird saying that I'm getting old, but I am, first word, I'm a very strong person. I am fun. I'm very curious. I'm a very curious person. I was once hyperactive. I still try to be active. I'd also say I'm hardworking, very determined. Whatever I set my mind to, I do it. And that's basically me.
Speaking of hardworking, what's your chosen career?
I work in communications. My degree is actually in mass communication with an emphasis in TV production and broadcasting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, you have ARVD.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the symptoms. When did you start feeling the symptoms of this condition?
So I was experiencing symptoms from I was 7 years old. I remember I was at primary school, and when after lunchtime we all finished playing, when I came back into class, I was still tired. When everyone was rested, I was still tired, breathing heavily. So I went to my teacher and I told her, and she wrote a note to my mom. And my mom took me to a doctor, who sent me to another doctor, who sent me to another doctor. And that doctor just listened to my heartbeat and said I was fine. And at this point, I was getting tired very easily, shortness of breath. My heart was racing heavily all the time. But he said I was fine. Then the symptoms continued throughout the years. And when I was 11, I went back to see a doctor who diagnosed me with severe anxiety disorder. And I got my final diagnosis when I was 19.
19?
Yes.
It took them that long to figure out
Yes.
that's what you were experiencing. What was your initial reaction? Do you remember getting that kind of diagnosis that you have possibly a life-threatening condition?
All right, let me tell you. My symptoms continued after that trip to that doctor when I was 11. My symptoms continued throughout high school, community college. When I was at my first year at university, my symptoms got worse, and I contacted a friend of mine who is a doctor, and I said, what's the first step in getting this sorted out? And we did an ECG. It showed I have an abnormal heart rhythm, and he referred me to KPH, who referred me to UA Hospital, and for over a year I was basically a lab rat. And when I got the final diagnosis, with the first heart test that I did, the doctor looked at me and she said, you have the same heart condition that killed your mother. And of course, the tears start build up same time. I start thinking I got dead. I start thinking I forgot write my will, even though I'll have a little clothes and shoes and so. So it was very scary, to be honest. It was very scary because my mom died pretty young from heart disease. She died when she was only 39. And to hear a doctor say, I have the same condition that killed my mother, that stirred up a lot of fear inside of me, to be honest. Yeah.
That must have been a scary situation. Where were you in life at that time? You were 19.
Yeah. At this point, I was at Northern Caribbean University.
So you were looking forward to your future?
Yeah. And at this point, I was missing a lot of classes because I had to travel to Kingston every week, every other week for clinic. So, and I didn't inform my school at the time, so I was just being absent from classes, and I was called to the office one day of the chair, and I was told that I was being placed on academic probation and I was on the verge of being kicked out of school. Because at this point my GPA was, what, 1.98? So it was at this point that I actually broke down in her office and I explained everything to her. Yeah, and she actually understood.
So it took you a couple of years to finish your degree, but you did. How long did it take you?
Well, my 4-year degree took me 7 years.
One word, perseverance.
Yeah, because I had to sit out at least 3 full semesters because of surgeries. And I remember when my GPA was at 1.98 and I was just determined to finish school and finish strong, and I actually graduated with a 3.23 GPA and I made it on the Dean's List.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Pat yourself on the shoulder, girl. Now, are you the only child in your family?
I have 5 older brothers, 4 by my mom's side, 4 by my dad's side, 1 by my mom's side, and they're all fine.
They don't have it?
No.
So so how did it affect your family life?
Well, let's just say everyone in my family, they're now more protective of me than before because I'm the youngest and the only girl of my siblings.
Wow.
So no, they're more protective than ever before.
So take us through the journey. You're 19, you got the diagnosis. What was next? What was the next thing? You went into clinic, but in terms of treatment, what happened?
After the diagnosis and my cardiologist at the time sought a second opinion, that doctor said the next time, this is the heart condition you have, arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia, and the next time your heart races, you may go into cardiac arrest and you may die. So you'll have to get what is called an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, or in layman's term, a battery. You'll have to get a battery in your chest as soon as possible. So I said, okay, what's the cost for this? And he said 15,500. I'm like, I can give you that right now. I have 15,500 in my pocket. And he said, US dollars. And at that point, I started laughing. Sometimes when I get extremely nervous or scared, I laugh. So where am I going to get that from? I'm not rich, I don't have it, you know. But I eventually got help from family members and also the Ministry of Health, and we got the device and we did my very first surgery April 5th, 2012. We put the device in, and that day my life changed forever. But at that point when we did that first surgery and I thought all was well, my lungs collapsed, and so I had to get cut open again a day after surgery to get a chest tube in to release the excess blood and air off my chest. I was on oxygen for about 4 days and nights until my lungs were back to normal and I could breathe on my own again. I recovered from that and came out of hospital, developed several complications again after that, which eventually led to me doing another surgery 6 months later because my body was rejecting the device. The device is about this big and it's titanium and it's inside my chest. Now my body not used to these things, so my body was literally pushing it out. So I had to do another surgery to put it deeper into my flesh. I recovered from that, and in between 2015 and 2018, another major complication where the device got loose and it started migrating and it eventually lodged in my left breast, and this was causing a lot of pain, swelling, discomfort, sometimes fever. So we had to do a surgery to lift it out of my breast and stitch it down inside a mesh so it doesn't get loose and move again so easily. So we did that and we thought everything was fine. 4 weeks later we had to do surgery again because a part of the mesh was piercing my flesh from the inside. Recovered from that. My doctors were saying, okay, we're tired for cut you now. Hopefully this is the last time. So I said, okay, I hope this is the last time. 4 surgeries, I've had enough. My body tired. A year later, I was getting ready for work. At the time, I was a news presenter at JNN. Getting ready for work one morning, and I heard a loud beep. And I thought it was my phone alarming, but it wasn't my phone. And when I put my head close to my chest, it turned out that the device inside of my chest is beeping, so I had to run to see my doctor. Long story short, it was malfunctioning, so I had to do surgery again. So that's 5 surgeries to date.
So, how are you managing the cost of all this, and how is your dad doing in all of this? Because he's a single father with all of you.
Yeah.
You're his only girl.
Yeah. He's okay, but I'm assuming he migrated in 2014, so he's always worried, as any father would be.
The cost, because I would imagine.
Yeah, everything is out of pocket. So hospital fees and all of that is always out of pocket. Yeah. So living with heart disease is very expensive.
What's your daily life like? You have a battery inside you. You can't be as active.
Yeah. As a normal person.
What's Abigail's daily life? It's like a constant reminder.
Yeah, my daily life, first thing I do when I wake up is, so other people start their days with prayer and meditation. I start mine with prayer and medication. So I live on medication, and I have to depend on medication for the rest of my life. And I'm so dependent on these meds where if I don't take them the first thing when I wake up, I literally cannot function. So I take my meds, I go to work. Well, I start exercising now, so I wake up, take my meds, I work out as much as my heart allows me, and I go to work. I mean, sometimes I have down days where I really feel sick and I need to take the day, you know, but luckily I have a boss who really understands and cares about the well-being of his staff, so yeah.
How often do you have to go to the doctor? Do you have to go to the doctor to check?
Yeah.
Check up?
Every 3 months, routinely every 3 months. But there are times when I have to see my doctor in between those 3 months, because a lot of times they have unexpected complications. So for example, there are times when I have to go in to have the battery reprogrammed for whatever reason. Yeah.
Wow. We must embrace the pain and burn it as fuel for our journey, which is what Miss Smythe has been doing since the age of 7. If you're just joining us, we're talking to our morning coffee guest, Abi-Gaye Smythe. Stay with us. We're going to hear more about Abi-Gaye's experience fighting this rare heart condition. Welcome back to Morning Coffee Guest. Abi-Gaye Smythe continues to share her very motivational and encouraging story with us. She has a rare heart disease. It's called ARVD, where her heart isn't working properly as it should. One side of your heart is not working.
Yeah, the right side is severely diseased, so it doesn't function as it should.
And you have what you described as a battery that helps it to work properly. But you told me off camera that at one point you had to replace it. Why? What happened?
The first one I had it started malfunctioning out of the blue. So it turned out that something was off with the longevity assessment and calculations. So we had to remove that one and put a new one in. And this new one has a lifespan. So, and I've had it in since 2019. So in 5 years, I'll need a new one.
Wait, so you told me the cost of this.
Yes.
How much did it cost you to put in the first one?
The first one was $15,500 US on a special price. It was on a discounted price. Normal prices on these devices are like $20,000 US.
Okay. And when it started being rejected by your body, you suffered some shocks?
Well, not really. How the device works is that All right, with my heart condition, one of the symptoms is that my heart races fast to the point where it can send me into cardiac arrest. So once the device detects that, it snaps me out of it with shocks. So it basically shocks my heart to slow it down. And each of those shocks feel like a horse's kick to the chest. And I'll get like 5 or 6 shocks, couple seconds apart, until my heart is back to a normal rhythm. So yeah, it's not a pleasant feeling. And if I'm in contact with anybody while I'm getting shocked, so if I'm getting shocked and you touch me, you will feel it. Yeah, isn't that cool?
No, that's scary.
It is.
So you had an experience on the bus one time, going through these issues. Tell us about that.
So I was on a bus at one point. It was in Halfway Tree, and with the device, it's a mechanical device. So I'm affected by loudspeakers, chainsaws, drills, jackhammers. I trigger alarms when I go certain places. So I always have to walk with a medical card and a medical necklace. So I was on the bus. They turned the music with the bass up very high. So my shots out. It was affecting me, you know. So I signaled to the conductor to ask the driver to please to just turn it down a bit. And instead of helping me, they cussed me off and run me out of the bus in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. So not a lot of people are accommodating or understanding of the condition.
You're like a regular bionic woman.
Yeah, I am.
Can you eat normally?
Yes, I can. It's just that I can't consume anything with caffeine. I can't consume too much fatty foods and sugar foods as well.
So you can't consume anything that will speed up your heart.
Yeah, so no
or
energy drinks. Yeah, no energy drinks, no Pepsi, no Red Bull, no oily food, no excess fats, none of that.
So you can't go to like a bacchanal party?
I tried to dance once when I was passing through Uwe Carnival, and I tried to move my body a little toops, and I almost went into cardiac arrest, and the device had to shock me to save my life.
Do you ever feel like giving up with all of these things that you have to live with?
To be honest, back then, yes. I suffered from depression, and there were times when I wanted to just let go and call it a day. But since diagnosis, being in the hospital, undergoing all these surgeries, like I think this has defined my purpose in life. Before this, I didn't know. I knew that I wanted to become a dancer and an actress and all that, but the redefining moment for me was when I did the surgery and my doctor said you won't be able to do all the things I used to do. So no dancing, no running, no exercising, none of that. And I questioned myself. I said, okay, my talent is dancing, but what am I supposed to do now? And then God answered the question. I started a foundation, and I've turned my pain into passion and purpose, and I've been helping people ever since.
I'm going to get into that, but I'm curious. So you can't do any strenuous activity. You're now almost 30. You're an adult.
Yes.
Talk to me about intimacy, because that's an activity that can be exciting. Can you do that?
It's a risk, but engaging in such activities, I have to pace myself. As you see, I'm always armed with a heart rate monitor watch, so I have to pace myself. So let's just say it doesn't happen like the average person.
What about family life? Can you have children?
That's as well is a major risk. So I am not quite sure I am going to go down that road. Yeah, it's very risky, so I'm not sure I'm going to take that risk.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable. Do you tell when you go on a date? Do you tell the person immediately? Do you have to say, okay, this is the situation? What's that like?
So I've been, my current relationship, I've been in it for 5 years, but prior to that, I lost potential relationships because of my condition. I was told by one guy, so I'm not want a sicky woman. There was this other guy, when we met, you know, little sparks flying and energy's right. And as soon as I said, okay, this is it, these are my medical conditions, and this is what my life is like, I just didn't hear from him again.
His loss. Yeah. You're a strong woman. You are a strong, motivating woman. And speaking of motivation, you've turned all of these life experiences into a positive note. What's the name of your organization?
So it's the Abi-Gaye Smythe I Have a Heart Foundation, or IHA for short. And the idea for this came to me when I was on my back in pain after my very first heart surgery. Because being in clinic every week, I used to see other people like me, and I knew the type of support I needed, and I know that others are out there like me who need support. So I started the foundation, and as much as I may not be able to help a lot of people financially, I can help socially, emotionally, you know, that type of way. I also raise awareness, because heart disease is the leading cause of death in Jamaica, and a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of these deaths are preventable. So that's where my advocacy comes in. And what I do also through my foundation is I do regular blood drives. I partner with the blood bank and I do blood drives, because heart surgeries are done every single day and they require a lot of blood. So like for me, if I have surgery, I can't go into the theater without blood in case of anything, you know. So I do that, and the blood, it doesn't only help heart patients, but, you know, accident victims, pregnant women, other people who need blood. And I have partnered with an overseas organization, the OID, and so far we've helped 23 persons get free heart surgeries, but COVID came and stopped everything. But we're hoping to start again soon, because we have lives to save.
How successful are your blood drives?
I'd say they're very successful. We get a lot of units each time we have them, and we try to do them like every 3 months. Yeah, so I have one coming up in April.
How would we contact you? How do we get in contact with the organization if I or someone I know, you know, are going through?
Yeah, you can find us on social media at IHAH Foundation across all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or you can contact me at 566-6405.
So you give support to a lot of people despite what you're going through. Who is your strongest supporter? Who would you say?
My partner, my siblings, my dad. I have friends, I can't even name them because I'd get in trouble, but they know themselves. And also there's one cousin in particular. She plays the role of my mom since my mom died. She's an older cousin, but she's like my mom. She doesn't miss an appointment, doesn't miss a surgery date. She's just always there, so she's like my mom. So yeah, they are my main support.
Do you make any plans for the future, knowing that at any day, I mean, it must have changed the way you view life?
Definitely. I do make plans, as much as there's the risk of me going into cardiac arrest at any time, and though I have a safety net or a backup plan, which is the battery, I still make plans, because that's where my faith comes in. My faith brought me this far, and it's going to bring me further. My mom died at 39, and I'm going to live to 99, or maybe I'll go to 109 for a little razzle-dazzle, you know. But yeah, that's a plan, and I'm going to do a lot more. I'm going to help a lot more people with heart disease, and I'm going to change lives and save lives.
Before we close out, I want you to look to that camera and pretend that you're talking to someone who's going through possibly the same situation or another situation where their health or their life seem as if it's going to end at any time. They think they're going to give up. What would you say to them?
Okay, firstly, if it's health related, I'm going to be real. Get screened, see a doctor, seek second, third, fourth opinion if you must. Otherwise, have faith, pray, and do your best. Just don't give up. Every situation in life comes to make us bitter or better, comes to make us a victim or a victor, and it's up to us to decide what we're going to do and how we're going to come out of that situation.
Very well said, very well said. When we're faced with challenges that seem insurmountable, it is easy to give up. But Abi-Gaye has proven that with faith, determination, and the will to fight, life goes on. Abi-Gaye, we applaud you, and we know that others will be encouraged by your story. Thanks so very much for coming to speak with us.
And thank you for having me.
Join us next time for another episode of Morning Coffee Guest. Pleasant viewing.